toxic relationship. So at the time, I have more to say around that than I said to them very briefly when they asked. First, I'm just going to read a question that I got. It's the only question I'm going to read because I want to give more clarity. This is a member of my group, and she says in our group, I want to ask you, Mona, what is your advice for when we start the challenge, my 60-day challenge, and then one of the manifestations premise just comes true? A specific one of mine for love came true word for word. It's interesting because it's the first time it happened to manifest in that area, and it happened to be seemingly instant within the first week and has continued, as well as word for word. Even my daily affirmation entries are word for word 3D manifestations. I know I need to restart, but what do? I don't feel I need to reiterate on love. So how am I to expand on it? If so, how? My confusion stems from the fact that I don't feel I need to be specific to expand on love because I'm seeing the premise in action every day without having to be specific. It's manifested word for word, which is why I'm hesitant to write details in the new spreadsheet. Okay, so some background on this. I have a 60-day challenge in my bio that it's been around for a while now. So a lot of people are in their third, fourth, fifth, sixth iteration. And what happens to most people is they don't even finish the first time, the second time. And as we go back on it and we reset our goals, we can see how we changed. That's the idea behind this challenge. And I do believe it has some power because of the group consciousness to propel you further. In the case of the queen who's asking the question, I happen to know she started maybe about 1.5 years ago, and this is like her 5th or 6th iteration through the challenge. Now, throughout her life, she has not had the relationship that she wanted to have, and right now, something very serendipitous, very much to be a match to her soul has unfolded. And I'm going to tell you this: when you do this work, right, because at some point she even gave up on it, when you do this work, there's 2 things that happen. Number 1 is you change the inner. But number 2, you can no longer react in the outer the same way you reacted. So the first few times she's been through this challenge, what happened is she was involved with the same man who was giving her scraps, trying to change him, so you kind of have to go through this dark night of the soul where you realize that no matter how much you're trying to fix existing things, it's just not going to work. It's not going to work because they belong to the person that you used to be. And where she's at now, I'm just going to increase the AC a bit. Where she's at now is she kind of gave up on it, restarted, and from this new point of vibration, something very serendipitous with a new man who's perfect for her has unfolded over the last few weeks. And she's saying, this came true for me word for word. What should I do next? So I want to tell you, number 1, when you get what you want, understand that you have to hold that vibration that brought it to you to begin with, right? So it's not like fake it until you make it. It's more like fake it until you become it. Because if you fake it until you make it, the time when you get it, you'll have a temporary high. But if you go back to the old patterns, you're not going to be able to sustain it. So I'm going to say anybody who gets what they want when they didn't even expect it, when they didn't think something so good is possible, now all you have to ask yourself is, how can I hold this vibration? And how can I affirm around my vibration? So Queen, you're saying you don't want to put the details, but I want you to put details in the challenge about yourself. Okay? Put the details about yourself. In my love life, I am loved, I am adored, I am being shown that I am the one for every man I date. Go general if you don't want to affirm specifically about him. Every day I wake up and I feel so much gratitude about this man that's next to me, whatever it is that's very applicable to you. And so I want to say, Queen, I don't want to name the name, but Queen, maintaining the vibration with which you have attracted this relationship that you never had before will be the most important thing. You cannot act with him the same way you acted with anyone else in the past. Know your triggers. Write down tonight a list of every single mistake you made in every relationship, such as someone not texting you for 2 days and you being like, pretending you're unbothered. Oh yeah, hi, how are you? You want to come over? Sure, I've been busy at work, he says. So you can't do any of that. Only from a point of self-respect, being yourself, but your new self, and not accepting anything that's not in your box, can you maintain all this. I want to be very, very clear. That goes for every manifestation. That goes for a new job. That goes for a state of health. That goes for absolutely anything. Because sometimes you can manifest something, but you cannot retain it. The reason is you default back into the person that you used to be. Are we on this together? I would say that's the hardest part. The hardest part is maintaining your vibration and understanding that the majority of your old programs are not going to go away ever. You know, there's this quote that I read once that stayed with me, and it said, you can never really conquer your demons. You can only learn to live above them. I think this is very true. You know? So be sure that the old you will resurface. Make sure you don't bring the old you into any new relationships and any new jobs. The way you've been mistreated at your old job, bypassed for a promotion, etc. You're not going to have the same reaction. If you remember one thing, remember this. You're not going to have the same reaction. Let's see if I have any questions on this. What is the connection between spirituality and the law of assumption? This question is too loose. I mean, like, what is the connection between spirituality of the law of assumption? The law of assumption is one way in which you can use spirituality. You can use the spiritual self to affect 3D reality. Although I don't find this question really coherent. So maybe if you want to reword it specifically, we can talk about it. Can you talk about abandonment issues? Abandonment issues are best dealt with, and I think all psychologists will tell you this. I'm not one, but they will tell you this, and I heard it said many times. It has to do with the person. So I'm talking about childhood, right? It has to do with that specific person. While, let's say, toxic relationships where you're in the same relationship just with a different man, but it's the same kind of relationship, narcissistic, abusive, over and over, and you had like 5 of those as an adult, that has to do with you. Abandonment issues you have to distance yourself from the person who abandoned you and understand that has nothing to do with you. Like, abandonment is not something that has anything to do with you. It's just something that happened to you under that circumstance because it is just who the other person was. This answer, again, it has to do with childhood abandonment. It doesn't have to do with you being abandoned in every single relationship. Okay, I'm gonna get into the topic. Do I believe in tarot? No. I don't believe in any form of fortune telling. I believe, first of all, 80% of it is fake or more. The rest, who are real, can only read your existing energy thread. And the future that is destined for you, you can change in a second. Even if it's a good future, you can change it with one trigger, one bad thought, and offering a different energetic signature into the system. It goes for the future that's bad for you, that they predict. But the problem is, when they predict something bad, you kind of tend to attract it because it kind of tends to go in the subconscious, because fear is so much more powerful than even love. Okay, so I want to go into the topics that I have in terms of why you may not yet have gotten the results that you were expecting from your manifestation. And I have 15 points here, so bear with me, see which one applies to you, ask questions around the topic if you have questions. Number 1, you imagine to escape reality versus to create reality. Okay? When you use your imagination to escape reality versus to create reality, what usually happens is you tune out of what's happening and you go somewhere in your mind. This could be somewhere negative. This could be fantasizing about a scenario that you're afraid of. We use our imagination all the time. We use our imagination when we're driving. We use our imagination before bed every single time. It's just that in your imagination, it's usually thoughts about how tomorrow's going to go. We use our imagination when we cook, anytime, even when we watch TV, we imagine maybe scenes about the movies, maybe what we would do in that scenario in the movie, etc. So if you use your imagination to escape reality, know that you're causing an incoherent playground for when you use your imagination to create something. The times in which you use your imagination to escape reality has to be diminished. When you catch yourself in a time where you're trying to escape reality, or when your mind just wanders in your imagination, you have to have one scene or two scenes that have to do with the future that you're trying to create, that you replace that moment with. Okay? Because imagining for 10 minutes a day the future that you want versus imagining a negative scenario about, how your husband's cheating on you, or what would happen if this and that, or if the health result was wrong, the formless substance doesn't know which one of the scenarios in your imagination you're trying to create. Is that fair? Like, how would it know? How would it know it should just operate to bring forth the 10 minutes that you're imagining when you're closing your eyes at night versus the half an hour that you're fretting and imagining all these negative scenarios when you're driving? So think about it, okay? Don't imagine to escape reality, imagine to create reality. And when you catch yourself escaping reality, go back and imagine how something, have two, three scenes that you can always go back to. Number 2, if you have any involvement in planning the bridge of incidents between now and the time that you get your manifestation, any planning around it, any planning in terms of A, B, C, and D, it means you're doing something in your own strength. Now, doing something in your own strength is not a problem, right? I'm going to Europe. I'm planning my trip to Europe. I know exactly what I'm going to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that don't expect miracles when you're doing it that way. Now, if you don't have money and you're saying, I want to go to Europe, but I want to make this happen, then you can't have any involvement in planning the bridge of incidents. You can't plan, maybe if I go help my aunt out, she's sitting on a lot of money, maybe I'll mention that I'm going to Europe and she'll just give it to me. Maybe if I pick up some extra shifts, maybe, so you can't do it that way if you want to manifest it in a form of ease. So don't have, the moment you catch yourself, when you set a goal that you can't achieve logically in 3D, if you can achieve it, just go ahead and achieve it in 3D. It's not a problem. But something like, I'll get married next year. You cannot have involvement in A, B, C, and D. Usually people who try to have involvement in things that they cannot create on their own strength, such as you're single and you want to be married in 18 months, what happens is they're going to be served a lesson that's going to either make them give up or humble them. What usually happens is, like, I'm thinking, I'm putting myself online, or, I'm hiring a matchmaker. I'm going to go out with 5 guys. One of them is going to be okay, this and this and that. And what happens is something completely different. And the feelings that it stirs inside of you, something completely different. Same thing with applying for a job, same thing. Do not have involvement in planning for a bridge of incidents. And the best thing is to focus on inner and wait for a prompt. I've been telling you this for 2 years. Wait for a prompt. I have too many calls or emails in which people are telling me, I've done this and this and that. I'm like, you've done too much already. You've done too much already. Number 3, if you, between now and your goal that you set, you're planning or you think you have to work harder, struggle, or compete. This could be competing for a man, work harder on your dating profile. This could be working harder in the gym so you get your health back, all of this. Okay? It doesn't necessarily apply to work that you get paid for. But if in your mind there's that assumption that I have to work harder, I have to struggle and compete. Say I want to win a certain client, I have to work harder, struggle, and compete. I have a project, let's say project-based business. I have to do any of that. In fact, in my 3D business, when I was with my old partner, and we were together for 7 years very successfully, the first thing that I told him, and we decided together, we are never competing for any business. We're not going in a lineup. There's nobody like us. There's not like, you can't use the word, our competition is doing this. Let's see what our competition, I didn't even look at the competition. I have no idea what they were doing. We were never in a lineup of people who, we might be picked or we might not, or might be the other guy. Never, ever. And in fact, the couple of times at the beginning we were into that, we didn't get the business. Yeah, the irony. So you don't compete. Just focus on what you love to do the most. Put yourself out there. Say, hey guys, I'm here. Obviously, you have to show up. You can't just lock yourself in the bedroom and hope the clients will call you. But once you put yourself out there, whatever you do, whatever your business is, website, you don't compete. Okay? Tell yourself this. You don't compete. What if your work is based on applications? What do you mean applications? Like computer applications. Okay. Number 4. If you accept other people's assumptions, and who doesn't? Who doesn't? Guys, we are, what do you mean? This is telling me my device is heating up. We are, I don't know where to put it. We are a pack of other people's assumptions. We're packed up with the assumptions of other people. I'm trying to rest it somewhere. Sorry, bear with me here. Okay. So what we're packed up with is the assumptions of our parents, of our collective, of our neighbors, of things like, this is the hardest one probably. If you accept other people's assumptions, you accept the assumptions of even politicians, right? The assumption is the economy is going to go down. You're accepting that assumption. Maybe I can close this. And the work of unpacking your mind to see how many of these assumptions are your own and how many come from outside, you will see that 90% of your assumptions are not your own assumptions. Right? Look at this, submitting proposals that compete for the role. Whose idea is that? Did you wake up and decided you got to submit proposals to compete for the role? Or did other people tell you that you must submit proposals to compete for a role? Right? You guys know Joe Dispenza. Joe Dispenza sometimes gives these practical examples. His son was looking for a job. And, he applied for a few roles after university. They didn't take him. And he got no call back. And his dad told him, to that Joe Dispenza, like the kids don't really listen to the parents. So finally he convinced him to make a list, 2-page. 1 page, what he wants in a role. But the kids spent like a few days on this because he realized what he wanted originally, he had to revisit it the next day and the next day, and he kept refining it. And on the other page, write out how this job would make you feel. So let's say the job would pay this much. You have to put something that you believe you can realistically get. By realistically, I mean university graduate looking for a job. If he says, I need to be paid $2 million a year to start this job, his brain, it's not that it's not impossible, it's just his brain and his mind would not be able to go there in order to properly imagine it as done. It just can't. Be very realistic about this. But you can put a high salary, like the top of your range when you're looking for a job, the top. And people are doing it, right? And then all you need to adjust is that self-image of you getting there. So the kid makes this thing, puts the salary he wants, he finds fair and more than what he expects. He's employable at. He puts, partly remote, partly connecting with people because he wants to also have the social aspect. He puts the schedule to be flexible, etc., lots of vacation. I don't know what else. On the other page, he puts, how would this work make me feel getting up? Oh, I love the people at my work. they becoming my friends. I feel motivated to go to work. Oh, I feel like my compensation is more than fair. It's more than I would have gotten anywhere else. It's more than I've seen advertised for anybody like me. And Joe said, and I believe all the stories he says on stage, he has no reason to make up these ridiculous stories, because he already, like, he's arrived, right? He's already making $1 million per event, and he doesn't need to. He said within 7 days, 7 or 8 days, the kid ran into some people, talking to some people. They offered him, he goes like, come join this company. They offered him, he goes like, come join this company. And he had been employed with them for a couple of years already when he was telling the story. And this is an example of an assumption that could be different than what you're saying. I need to submit proposals to get the job, versus I need to really understand what I want to do and how I want to feel every day, and trust that I can get that not in my own strength. Iris says, I didn't like Joe's meditations. Joe's meditations are not beginner meditations, and they're definitely not for everybody. So just because you don't like Joe's meditation doesn't invalidate his content. I don't do Joe's meditations anymore. I had a couple of years where I did. And the moment they started to feel off, I didn't do them anymore. It doesn't mean they don't have value, but they're not for everybody. They're very difficult meditations also. They're not a beginner level meditation. Beginner level meditation has to do with nervous system regulation. If your nervous system is in a state of extreme stress, prolonged stress, then Joe Dispenza's meditations are not for you, because those are like rewiring a healthy nervous system. You know what I mean? They're not for people who have anxiety. Yeah, you require a lot of focus too. All right. So you can safely assume that you're already accepting other people's assumptions. And now you just need to understand that 90% of those are bad for you, and you need to know which ones they are. This is work, pen, paper, observation, self-observation. The biggest part of this work is self-observation. You got to know yourself. Nothing is important enough to know in this world if you don't know yourself. Nothing. Not books, not a certain specific skill, nothing. Why does it matter? What does it matter for you to know everything about politics, to know everything about stars, the celebrities, if you don't even know how you work? Nothing's more important than knowing yourself in this life. So, number 5, if you get results and call them coincidences. I have so many of this. Oh my God. So, one from yesterday or day before yesterday, I can't remember. I have a candle in my room that I burned in a champagne glass, and a beautiful champagne glass, and it kind of like melted halfway in there. And my husband goes like, why? Oh my God, it's all melted in there. Why, why are you using this beautiful champagne glass for the candle? And I said, listen, this is a special candle, blah, blah, blah. I told him. But in that moment, I had this thing, it's like, it's just a glass. Like, who cares? You know, this guy is so annoying. Like, I gave off the energy of, like, I felt it when I said it to him. It wasn't neutral. You know what I mean? And then I hear he goes downstairs. I swear, I can't make this stuff up. And I hear a shattering. And I go, this was like 30 seconds later. And I said, what have you done? And he goes like, I don't know. I just swung around. There was this glass here. The glass was shattered. He broke this glass. Okay? That's not a coincidence. That's like an irrelevant example in which, and I said to him, listen, stop criticizing me, because it comes back to you. The universe is just showing, don't mess with me. Let me do whatever I want and you'll be happy, you know, the glasses. And the point is, he's like, no, babe, it was just a coincidence. It was not a coincidence. You go, come on. You know, he said, I wasted a glass. Don't mess with me. That's how I said it too. All right. Number 6, if you feel occasionally, what I put here, okay. If you take your time to feel occasionally like having the item you want, having the business you want, having the man you want, versus assuming it fundamentally. Feeling something occasionally has the power of the 10 minutes that you felt it, versus assuming that you're unloved for the rest of the day, and assuming that men are crap, that they all want one thing, that they're all going to cheat, that no one is prepared to take care of you, no one wants you, you're a single mom, okay? But then taking 10 minutes to feel the feel. Which one do you think is going to have more power? Which one is going to have more power? Your fundamental assumptions that men cheat, they don't want single moms, that they, you're too old, that this, etc., whatever, or you're feeling the feeling for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Your fundamental assumption about the way the world works will always win. So the first thing I changed when I was dating, after this is my second marriage, when I was dating, was that marriage is good for men. All men want to get married. I would make an incredible wife. Everybody sees that. So my assumption really is about the way the world works before it's even about me. Right? This idea that, oh no, guys don't want to get married or remarried, or it's your assumption about the general versus your assumption about the specific. So always remember, what you assume generally will have much more power of unfolding reality in your life versus what you feel once in a while. Once in a while, it could be feeling very good. It's not going to make a difference, or it's going to make a very temporary difference. That makes sense, right? Number 7. If you use your words to describe reality versus using your words to create reality. We're all guilty of that, but the majority of people are very guilty of this. Very guilty. They want to manifest. But then they use their words to describe an existing reality. They have a bad date, they call their friend to talk about their bad date, to talk about their failures, to talk about how they still don't have money, to talk about how this didn't work out, that didn't work out. You use your words to describe what you don't want, but you don't understand that when you use your words, you're creating. So you're creating just more of that. More of that. Your words need to be used to create reality. Okay, not to describe reality, to create reality. And I want you guys to understand that words are spells. You heard this before. But you don't understand that when you gossip, when you talk idle, when you talk about it's mostly politics, economics, things you read, things you see in the news. You see what they said, you see what they did. You're using the words to describe existing reality. All you're doing is keeping that reality in place. Partly for the collective, because we each contribute to the collective, and partly for yourself. It can be isolating, says Leah, because others always want to get together and complain. Yeah, I know that. But you learn to, when you actually change, you're not going to need that large of a group of people. And a lot of us, like people who are in my group, have found that being in this group is much, I have an email just got like 2 days ago. She's like, that's the only place I felt like I belonged, when I got in your group and stuff. Yeah, because it's like-minded individual. You need to connect. You're not necessarily going to have like-minded individuals around you. If somebody's super negative, you have to tell them if you're close enough to them. You have to say, look, I don't want to talk about this. Like, what's the point talking about this? What's the point complaining that, oh, we're getting sprayed on and poisoned and this and so? What can we do about it? You know what I mean? The universe / God is always with us too. The universe and God are two different entities. God is the designer of the universe. The universe is very neutral. The universe is always unfolding you, the contents of your mind, the contents of your heart. You can ask God to change your heart. You can ask God for help. But the universe is just there to execute. Jillian says, I've been in this group for over a year and my friend group completely changed for the better. Yeah, sometimes you lose everybody. Everybody. It's like people come to me or to this work and say, I want to change my life. But then when their friends start to drop, they get fired, their boyfriend breaks up with them, they're like, holy shit, I have a curse on me. No, you don't have any curse on you. It's just whatever structures you put into place, it was not for you, was not for the person you were designed to be. Don't do the work unless you're really ready to find out who you are, to find out what matches you. And you can't have what matches you. Like, that ideal man can't come on top of the toxic boyfriend you have right now. Oh, but I want my toxic boyfriend to just change and love me. Why? Because you're too lazy. You're too lazy to go with somebody else, to believe that you can start fresh. You're too scared. And from lazy and scared, what happens? More of what you have. I'd be really brave for this work, I think. Number 8. I talked about this in the intro. If you think faking it until you make it is enough, it's not enough. You have to fake it until you become it. Even if you get it before you become it, which sometimes happens, you cannot stop faking it. You have to fake it. Like, for example, fake it. What does it mean? You have to fake confidence and self-respect even if you don't have it. If he didn't message you for 3 days and then he messages you, you slept with him already. He messages you, oh, sorry, I've been busy with work. Even if you're dying inside to say okay, because you can't wait to see him and kiss him and be with him again, you have to fake the self-respect to not. Okay, you understand? Even if you don't have confidence, self-respect, all these traits that you know are necessary for a successful life, you have to fake it. You have to prevent yourself from acting in ways which you know are disrespectful to yourself. Does this make sense? State of being? What are you saying? So you have to continue to fake it. You have to continue to act in your own best interests. See yourself as the advisor of you. What would you advise the being that is you, okay, you from outside of you, to do in every circumstance? Don't go with what you feel like doing, okay? Oh, I missed him so much. I wanna reply to him. I can't wait. It's been 10 minutes. He's gonna think he's gonna move on to the next girl. What would you, as an advisor of you, advise you to do? If you're actually a paid advisor of you. And you know it's not to text. If you have a whole cake in front of you, ate a slice, you'd really love one more. What would the advisor of you advise you to do? Number 9. If you don't understand the principles on which your existing reality unfolds. And this is big. This is big. Because you, when you're affirming, you're journaling, you're like, I'm laying the foundation for my new life. Okay, I don't know how I was before, but now I'm going to be confident, I'm going to be respected, I'm going to be powerful, I'm going to be this, that. Hang on a second. Do you actually understand which parts of you are unfolding the reality that you have now, that you don't like? Because without understanding those, how are you going to make sure you don't repeat that? So the biggest part when you're thinking, I'm going to create a different life, is understand what's created this life. Understand. And if you're like, oh, I was with a narcissist, my father was this, my boss was a dick, etc., then it's all other people. Then you can't prevent meeting the same people in your future life. If your life right now is the fault of other people, society in general, politics, everyone's in the way, how can you create something new? You might meet the same exact people in different bodies, right? But if it's like, hang on a second, which principles in my assumptions that unfolded in my behavior have permitted me to allow myself to be in this toxic relationship? Let me see. Talking about toxic relationships, because I said I want to touch a little bit on them. I know a lot of people coming out of toxic relationships and they're like, oh, Mona, I was in this toxic relationship. How long are you in this toxic relationship? 20 years. 5 years, 7 years. Okay. How many of those people do you think left when they realized the relationship was toxic? Basically, none of them. No woman has a really great time and then he does something toxic and she's like, oh my God, he's really not who I thought he was. He's a narcissist. This is beginning to be a toxic relationship. That's it. I'm going to have a discussion with him and leave. No, that's not what people do. People keep going. I'm telling you right now, just consulted with someone. She had been with her toxic ex for 22 years. I said, when did you realize he was toxic? Oh yeah, probably after like a couple of years. Okay. So what happens is in between couple of years and the end of the relationship, her behavior of accepting what's happening is an instruction in the universe. I told you guys, what you do in 3D matters. What you accept in 3D matters for your own energy system. So as he's punching her energy system on a consistent basis, putting her down, making her feel less than, etc., she's also doing that to herself in the act of accepting. And like you guys know, because we talked about this so long, in the act of sleeping with a man, of touching a man who's like that, of opening your energy system sexually to somebody like that, there's a huge punch to your energy system. Because you're allowing, he's saying, this is what you deserve. You're saying, yes, this is what I deserve. You're doing that for 20 years. And you're like, I got out of a toxic relationship. He was awful. He was abusive. You were just as abusive with yourself. You guys know I tell the truth, okay? With no judgment to any woman. All I want to do is help women. Help people in general, but especially women. That's what it is. That's what it is. All right, number 10, where are we? So I didn't number them. I'm numbering them as we speak. If you anthropomorphize the universe versus seeing it as a coherent machine, coherent and neutral machine, what does it mean? Anthropomorphize means to give the universe qualities that we have as humans, such as the universe is punishing me. The universe is testing me. The universe wants proof that I really mean what I say. Those are human qualities. The universe is, you got to get this through your head. The universe is a neutral machine unfolding the dominant assumptions of your mind in different scenarios. It's so creative. You can do it. You could have 3 different relationships, 3 different jobs. They're all kind of the same. They go kind of the same because it's the same you. So the universe not testing you. It's not this. If nothing's changing, or if things are changing but along the same lines, it's just a different scene in the same movie. It's you. It's you. Stop saying the universe is testing me. No, it's just it's you. It's me. I haven't done enough. I haven't changed enough. Go back to the drawing board. What assumptions am I currently operating on? And the easiest way to do this is to break them down, right? What assumptions do I have about men? What assumptions do I have about work? What assumptions do I have about money? What assumptions do I have about my body? What assumptions do I have about social media, internet, youth, vacations? Who should go? Like some people, I'm telling you, they don't have the vacations they want because they don't feel like they worked hard enough in general to have that. Just things are popping in my head as based on the people that I talk to. Sally says the universe isn't testing, but are our paradigms living entities that fight to exist? Yeah, so I told you this. All of the paradigms being programs in your mind, sets that are together. So for example, a set that's together would be, this is what men want. And that's a paradigm about men that maybe you grew up with, maybe you observed in your mother's relationships, and you have an idea about what men want, right? That could be like, oh, they want to expect this, they expect that. In order for me to have this, I would have to give that. That is a paradigm that's in your mind. Is as real and as true as you want it to be. You can change your paradigm completely replace the old one to be like, no, I was wrong about this. This is just my mother's life. This is not me. This is what men want. Men want to get married. Men want to worship me. Men want... Define your paradigm. At some point, you'll be like, come on, don't be ridiculous. You know what men want. It's in the old paradigm. You'll see. You'll struggle with yourself. You're like, this is stupid. This is a stupid game. But if nothing's changing, do you know how much time you have to... Usually when I have a mentorship program, which is sold out now, but it's available again in September. And in the questionnaire that I have for this mentorship initially, is because it's a weekly kind of work for 3 months, ask people, how committed are you to change it? 10. Mona, 10 out of 10. 10. I don't think I've ever had a 7 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10. How do you think, at what level do you think I find them committed? Oh, I was busy. Yeah, the kids had practice. I was too tired. I didn't get to meditate. I didn't get to do this. I find them a 3 out of 10. Most people, majority of people, nobody's a 10. Nobody's a 10. I'm not a 10 either. I find myself sometimes making excuses. But this is why I developed a routine and a discipline that I do it whether I want to do it or not. So believe me when I tell you, you're not doing enough for yourself. You're not. Right? Let's see if I had any messages. Yeah, so these paradigms are energy systems that exist. You know, they don't want to change. They don't want to stop living. They're energy system. Some people call it in a more esoteric groups, egregores. But that's what they are. They're just energy systems that you formed in your mind. And you can see them as circulating in your mind. They're like alive and well and circulating. And yeah, they don't want to go anywhere. The universe doesn't want them to go anywhere either, because the machine works with what the machine knows. That's how the machine exerts the least amount of energy. If you force it, it will have to exert more energy. No system wants to exert more energy than it has to. A blade of grass doesn't want to exert more energy than it has to come out of the earth, right? That's how everything is designed in this game. The least amount of energy. We go the most amount of energy for things that don't matter, for relationships that don't work out, for jobs that are going nowhere, to please people, going in loops in our heads. We're the only ones, we're the only creature in this game that exerts the maximum amount of energy. Animals don't do that. Plants don't do that. The universe doesn't do that. Just us. All right, where were we? Number 11. If you think your manifestation or your reality creation, the goal is not coming because you're just missing this vital piece of information versus understanding, it's probably not working because you need to remove one or more pieces that are in the way, that are on you. Carolyn, if you missed most of the day, don't worry, all of my lives are posted on YouTube. I'm live once a week, they're all posted. So the belief is always like people just searching for new information. You probably have something on you that you haven't removed yet, and this is why it's not going. It's not going in the right direction. It's not because you need more, it's because you have too much. You have conflicting information. You have too much information. You have limiting beliefs that the good information that you're putting in your mind cannot get past. You have something extra you're carrying. It's not because you're missing, it's because you're carrying. That's the case for most people. Number 12, if you believe everything your mind says, instead of asking, key question that you can ask when you have a thought in your mind. See, we have a thought in our mind and we think it's true. Isn't that the case? When our mind thinks something, we just take it as true. Well, I think men are cheaters. That's true. Or it's going to take me 40 minutes to get there, and I have 20 minutes to get there. My mind is like, no, it's going to take you 40 minutes. Based on my mind is assessing, right? Based on traffic, based on where I'm at, based on, what accidents are around me. My mind's assessing 40 minutes, Mona. I need to be there in 20. So What you need to ask yourself, ideally every time your mind has a thought, but we can't do that. So we have 60,000 thoughts a day, approximately, is to ask yourself when you have an obsessive idea that you know is not good for you, who am I without this idea? Allow your mind is not an entity that determines the truth. Do you understand that? Your mind is not that good anyways. It's not that good to determine the truth about every situation. It's making an assumption what idea would keep you most safe based on the paradigms and how you perceive what just happened. That guy didn't call you after the date. Your mind is not going to pop an idea, he passed away on his way home. No, your mind is going to pop the idea, see, one more time you get rejected. Every time you get rejected, it hurts. Do you really want to feel like this? I think you should just delete your dating profile. That's where your mind is going to go. It's not going to create a beneficial scenario. It's going to create a scenario where it's looking for less pain and more pleasure. That's what the mind is wired to do, right? Which means safety. Less pain, more pleasure equals safety. So when you have an idea that you don't want, okay, you're like, no, I'm not rejected just because it happened 3 times or 3 times in a row. No, I'm not the kind of person men reject. Who would I be without this idea that when I go out on a date, people reject me or people are not going to call me back? If I didn't have this idea about myself, who would I be? I know, like, I'm flooded with texts from everybody who sees me, wants to see me again. Who would I be with this opposite idea? How do I feel now, knowing that like 12 guys that I've seen in the last 2 months for coffee, they're all like texting me? Reverse it. Reverse it and ask yourself, who would I be? How would I carry myself? How would I organize my day? How would I do things differently with this idea? Number 13, if you use logic to manifest a result. Okay, what does it mean? It means this is a bit different than trying to determine the bridge of incidents. If you use logic to know your next job, to know your dating life, what's possible for you, to know sort of not necessarily the bridge of incidents, but logically, I know what my next home upgrade would be. Logically, right? Based on how much money we're earning, based on the equity that I would get out of my current house, based on this, logically, I know what my upgrade is. So now I have to ask myself, do I want to do it logically, or do I want to envision what I want and not think about it at all, how I'm going to get there? And do I even want that goal? Think about it. This is an important question too. Am I happy in my current circumstance? Guys, if you're happy and fulfilled in your current circumstance, in your home, in your relationship, in your job, with a certain schedule, there's no reason to change anything. There's no reason. Ask yourself, sometimes our goals come from the world. The world will always tell you you're not enough. You're not enough. You don't have enough. What do you mean you're successful? You don't have a Ferrari. What do you mean you're fulfilled and successful? You know, your husband doesn't take you out more than once a week. What do you mean? You need more. You need more. The world, this is what they tell you. You need more. Assess yourself. Are your goals really your own? Or do you just think you need to upgrade your house, your car? You need a relationship that's way more intense and involving. And whose ideas are these? Are these ideas that really stem from an emptiness of your soul? Or are there ideas you saw on Instagram? Let's think about this. Right? Number 14. If you need signs of movement. So many people in this community talk about signs of movement. I don't need signs. And movement for me is a bit scary, because movement, what you consider movement, sometimes is the universe having delivered. Like when I was at a seminar, it was a Dr. Joe, my first Dr. Joe Dispenza seminar, and I told my manifestation partner, I said, yeah, by the time I leave here, I want to have like $1 million. And then I found, kid you not, I ripped it on one of these lives, because I found $1 million note on the floor. It was like obviously fake, right? But it was a note that said $1 million, like a paper money. And I took it and I'm like, oh my God, that's a sign. I put it on my vision board. And then I realized the universe fulfilled my wish, because the universe doesn't even understand money in the same way we understand money. So these things that you call movement are sometimes universe being like, I've done my job. Oh, I want him, obsessed with me. And he sends you like 2 texts, which based on his definition, he's never done this before. He's never double texted anyone. The universe is like, yeah, he's never done this before. He's obsessed with her. Chuck. That's all you get. The 2 texts. Then he reverts back to himself. So I don't want movement. I want, also an example would have been when my now husband, we took a break for 4 months in our dating life. But he sent me, after a couple of months, he sent me this message, oh, I missed you and this and that. And I was like, some people would be like, oh my God, that's a movement. Look, you have movement. I'm like, no, I'll just delete it. I don't want any movement. I want the final result. I told the universe, I want to be married with a guy who makes me feel this way. And I'm not going to take messages from exes. I'm not going to take, oh my God, his movement and the new guy, the old guy. No. Ultimate result only. Ultimate. That's it. No movement. Number 15, actually. I think I have 16. Number 15, if you think something needs to happen before your manifestation, like a lot of people saying, I'm working on my health right now, and once I'm healthy, I will do X and Y and Z. You're working with time in a linear fashion. Like, I'll start my business when I no longer have arthritis. Right now I'm working on my arthritis or something like that. Okay, I will start focusing on the business once I do X and Y and Z, once I improve. That's not, so manifestation, reality creation does not work on linear time. You gotta be very, very clear on this. Yeah, I upload all my lives on YouTube. I'm only live once a week. You would like these points written out. Okay, I'll try to do a carousel with this later tonight if I have time. And finally, number 16, if you mistake relief with with alignment. So relief is the absence of discomfort. If the situation, you had a concern and the situation kind of relieved itself, kind of like it's much better, like you pacified that annoying boss, you got yourself your 4% raise, you did this, you did that. That's relief. That's relief of an existing problem. Or if you were single and you're manifesting a husband and now you had 2 good dates, that's just relief. Right now you got some relief. But that's not necessarily alignment. Relief is the absence of discomfort. You're no longer in that discomfort that you had about the old situation. But alignment is a point of passion and power. It's a point where it requires energy, but it's like you're channeling that energy and you feel the energy coming out of you, but you're not absolutely exhausted at the end of it. You know what I mean? So whatever you got now, hopefully it's not movement, but whatever you got now, has it just relieved your discomfort, or are you actually passionate and powerful about it? That's what you need to ask yourself. Guys, ask me any questions if you have any, because I will be gone for a couple of weeks. I'm going to Europe, and I won't have a live the next couple of weeks. My next live is a group coaching live for my group only on Facebook, and that will be June 12th. If you're part of my group, you can leave your question. It's pinned at the top, and I will address every question that I get. It can be a personal question about your own life or a question about the material. So I just want to see if I missed anything. Somebody says, I will find my husband once I lose weight. Yeah, that's an example of what I said. I will have this once this other thing happens. Linear time. You're in the way. You're in the way of finding your husband at the moment, because you just decided that heavyweight people cannot meet husbands, or they cannot meet husbands they want, right? And then you're saying you're finding that you're finding the proof of this assumption in your own life. Let's say you're rejected, or guys don't want to take you seriously, and you're like, see, this is how guys are, without understanding you're in this loop that you created. You told yourself you can't find a husband. Now you're going to blame it on the men because they give you proof in real life for that. It's crazy. Like, you know, I really came to this conclusion that our mind is mostly against us, against our spirit, against our wants, against the expression of our essence. It's just against this. It just wants to keep the biological machine alive, and it wants to keep the psychological machine alive too, in order to keep the biological alive, such as it will prevent you to get into situations that may hurt you or have hurt you in the past, because it doesn't want the being experiencing the same pain, because that wouldn't be good for its survival. My manifestation keeps having a negative side. Is there a way to stop this? My cat just died suddenly. What makes you think that's a side of your manifestation? Like, why are these associated? I don't understand. I read A Course in Miracles a long time ago. I want to say like 15 years ago. Have I been to Switzerland? I have only in my whole life been to Portugal one time. So sad. Yeah. Canada's very far from everything. And I had a family pretty young, so. Yeah, you see, you don't date because of your past experiences. Exactly. Okay, I think unless there's something else, we're done. Don't associate what else happens to you with what you're manifesting and you're bringing forth. Because I told you guys, if things will happen, existing systems will collapse, and you'll be like, look, this manifestation thing is from the devil. That's why my relationship isn't working out. I lost my job. You can't keep everything as is and have a new life. Come on, you have to be reasonable about that, right? How could you? How could you? If you change, how could you keep the same relationship when the person you were with was happy to use the old self that you were? He's gonna be like, what happened to my punching bag? Forget this, I'm out of here. I'll find another punching bag. And you're like, he left me. I was manifesting him to treat me like a queen. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's so obvious, it's so common sense. Okay, you'll find me on my Facebook group. I will do the carousel on these points later tonight, and this will be posted on YouTube. Let's put our hands together for the 369. I am a winner. One breath in. I am a winner. 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 I am a winner.